It is the night before the second episode of Battlebots World Championship 7, and I didn't realize before the season started that they would be showing the entire Fight Night schedule on their website before the season even started. And so I went through the entire thing, kind of just skimmed it, wrote a sentence or two explaining why, and who I think is going to win the fight. Now, I'm not predicting specifics like, oh, is this going to be a knockout? Is it going to be a unanimous decision? Is it going to be a split decision? I just went through rapid fire, like, what would that be? Like, over 100 fights. I think it's 105, maybe a little bit less because some episodes have only 6 fights instead of 7. I'm not sure. We'll get to that later. But yeah, here we go. Let's just pretend that I did this all for episode 1 and got it all correct. Alright, for real though, let's start with episode 2. So I think Banshee is going to beat Switchback. Switchback's self-rider just isn't reliable enough to recover, and one flip is all Banshee really needs to end the fight because they can just control it from there. Hijinks is going to beat Big Dill. Even with their stiff wedge and Emmanuel Carrillo's driving, I think Hijinks can just brute force its way through the wedge, kind of like Gigabyte did before. Plus, their tail fork is always tricky to get around, and they might be using that in this fight. Endgame beats Blip because they are Endgame. Fusion beats Emulsifier just based on what I saw in the trailer. I mistakenly called it Gruff in the trailer just because they're both black and I saw Gruff like right before and like, apologies. Sawblaze also beats Hypershock based on the trailer. You know, just some stuff. They wanted to show off some really cool hits and Sawblaze gets a really cool hit on Hypershock, which is awesome. Whiplash versus Mad Catter is going to be really interesting, and it's going to be a really close fight, because I know that Mad Catter, even though it is a vertical spinner, a powerful vertical spinner with a lifter, they do have really great defense. But I think Whiplash gets the edge by just a tiny bit. The upgrades that they did to their wheels are going to go a long way in this fight for sure. Hilariously, I think Mammoth beats Valkyrie. Mammoth is no stranger to absurd upsets. Everyone remembers that absurd Copperhead fight. And Lucy Dew is a brand new driver to this heavyweight. And even though it is possible to get some practice beforehand, it's not really possible to do it completely with the full spin up and the whole big arena on the same floor. And Gigabyte's new drivers really showed that in the first episode. So it's going to be a bit of a learning curve for the new captain. And Mammoth is really going to take advantage of that. Ricky Williams has said that Mammoth was specifically designed to counter undercutters, and so we'll really see that put to the test here. Plus, Valkyrie lost their driver Fred Moore. That's right, he's on Ripperoni now, which is fun. Lucky is going to beat Triton. Matty Olson's back, and as with Gigabyte, learning how to drive a heavyweight horizontal is definitely a learning curve. Bloodsport, I think, is going to beat Copperhead. Copperhead is a pretty solid bot. They've had wins over horizontal spinners before. I remember they beat Kronos before. But I think Bloodsport has the reliability and the control they need to win that fight. Copperhead, they haven't been performing as well as they've wanted to in the past few years, and this is going to be a real test for them. Claw Viper is going to beat Ominous. I think they have the agility that they need to neutralize Ominous's weapon. They're going to prove that you don't need Omni wheels to be agile and mobile. Cobalt beats Deathroll just based on the trailer. It gets an awesome hit. I think Hydra is going to beat Rotator. I just don't really see a win condition for Rotator, barring some sort of spectacular failure on Hydra's end. Their front wedge is really reliable, and I don't think they've been having any trouble with their drive or pressure system lately. This year, Jackpot is fully outfitted with lifting arms, and I think that gives them the edge and control that they need over Scorpios. Scorpios is definitely a very defensively sound bot, but assuming Jackpot is fast enough, I think that they can take this win. And the last one in episode 3, I think it's a long shot, but Malice beats Lockjaw. I'm definitely coming around on wide Malice, and I think that the horizontal with forks thing is just dumb enough to work. I love it. I'm a huge Malice man. I think Kraken beats Beta. They've got the geometry they need for the forks. They have the positional advantage, and they have the weapon to back it up. Beta's been out of the competition for a pretty good long while, and it's very possible that they might have the same weapon issues that they had previously. I think Monsoon beats Black Dragon. Either way, it's going to be an epic one-shot ponage in this fight. Emulsifier beats Malice. It's got a really tough front wedge, and I think that's going to be just a little bit too much for Big Red. Quantum is going to beat Gruff. They just have the better control, and even if they don't get that big bite through the Magnum Dong triple alloy, they do have the control that Gruff kind of just hasn't had lately, especially with its troubles with drive. Horizon looks awesome, but it also looks a little too fragile to take down Shred It Bro, given that Shred It Bro works a little better than Pain Train. I don't imagine it being very maneuverable, Horizon, and that's the main advantage that other bots have over Pain Train. Hypershock beats Whiplash based on the trailer. Again, spoiled a lot of stuff in the trailer. I made a whole analysis video on it. Yeah, I kind of ruined a bunch of fights for myself. Last year, I spoiled the first fight of the entire season. Wow. Alright, and Starchild beats Overhaul, just because I want to believe that Starchild will work. It's part of Omega Team. It is, not Bittenbinder, Brandon Zielinski's smaller bot. I think it was a 3-pound, which got scaled up to a 30-pound, and then got scaled up again to a 250-pound. I just really want to believe that a Thwack bot can work at Battlebots. Alright, episode 5. This is the one that I had not a lot to say about. Huge beats Blip. Like, come on, what is Blip actually even gonna do against Huge besides a bike rack? Ribot beats Claw Viper. I imagine it's gonna go similarly to Black Dragon versus Claw Viper. Maybe they're gonna run the horizontal. Who knows? Minotaur beats Free Shipping based on the trailer where it explodes. Witch Doctor beats Fusion. In the trailer, Fusion has a good hit on Witch Doctor, but also its vertical is not spinning. So that's why I think Witch Doctor is actually going to win that fight. Sawblaze beats Lockjaw. I just don't think Lockjaw can outmaneuver its way to a win here, even though it does have those nice cambered wheels. Sawblaze is just too fast and too wide to get a really good hit on. Madcatter beats Riptide since they've got good control, and they can definitely take a hit or two even from a weapon of Riptide's level. This episode only has 6 fights. Maybe there's a Rumble or 2, an exhibition fight. Maybe it's got the bots that weren't in the main tournament, that aren't listed in the website. Say Terratops, Doomba, Rusty. Yeah. Alright, on to episode 6. Valkyrie beats Banshee. It'll definitely be a drag-out slugfest, but Valkyrie's going to take the win in what I think is going to be a pretty close, exciting match. Scorpios beats Big Dill. Their armor is good enough for that small spinner on Big Dill, and their wedge geometry is definitely good enough to dominate this match, even with Big Dill's lifter. Alright, Shredderator versus Hijinks. I think Shredderator is actually going to win, similarly to how they beat Tombstone. Maybe Hijinks is packing a new tail attachment for anti-horizontals, but I think Shredderator is going to whack that off pretty easily. Even though it is Shredderator, it is still a shell spinner, and it's super powerful. Deathroll versus Switchback. I think Deathroll's going to win this fight. They've just got the agility and resilience that Switchback really hasn't shown in its first year. Hydra beats Tantrum. At this point in the season, neither bot has sustained much damage, and I think that really does favor Hydra over Tantrum. Jackpot versus Rotator, I think is going to go the other way of last year's tournament fight. Jackpot definitely should have the Self-Rider and the Wedge really dialed in this year, and they're able to take those hits. They just got stuck in a bad position last year, got, what do they call it, high-centered, and I think they do have the defense and offense to beat Rotator. Alright, episode 7. Despite the trailer footage, I think Bloodsport beats Gigabyte, not on weapons, but on control. If they survive that first hit that they showed in the trailer, Gigabyte won't really be able to spin up again for the whole fight. Justin Marple is just way too fast, and Bloodsport is just too quick to give them any sort of chance to spin up. And as we know, the Gigabyte drivers are still fairly inexperienced, so yeah, Bloodsport on control. Overhaul, I think, is going to be Claw Viper. Claw Viper's weapon has worked, correct me if I'm wrong, but one time in its entire career against an already defective, pardon my French. And we know Overhaul is, even though it doesn't win a whole lot, it is a reliable grabber and a reliable grappler. Triton beats Copperhead, just because I think that would be really funny. I want to believe in Triton. It's new Tombstone. I love it. Minotaur is going to beat Cobalt. Pretty much a repeat of the last time they fought, and uh, Cobalt is definitely a strong bot. It's a very defensively sound bot, and it's a powerful weapon. But Minotaur, I think, just has the geometry it needs, and uh, it pivots better, it recovers better, and it's better able to take the hits. I don't think necessarily they'll win on defense, but Minotaur has the edge in a lot of categories here. Horizon, I think, is going to beat Monsoon. I think their weapon might be good for flanking Monsoon's massive weapon. Even though Horizon looks very awkward, those arms really are something to be afraid of because Monsoon's weapon's just in the middle and the sides are fairly squishy. Who knows? They might get to a drive pod, might get to something crucial in the softer, I forget if it's steel or her aluminum sides. But yeah, if Monsoon gets in though, it's all over. And Horizon might even just like snap in half like a Kit Kat bar. Lucky versus Kraken. I just don't think Kraken has the maneuverability and grabbing to beat Lucky. They've got the spinner. I actually think here that the Crusher Kraken would actually be a better matchup than the spinner Kraken versus Lucky. So I think Lucky's going to win this fight. Lucky Kaneki. Mammoth is going to beat Starchild much in the same way that they beat Huge. Starchild does have a chance here. Mammoth's weird chain setup might be hit by a stray hit from the Thwacker. But I think Mammoth's reach, and especially if they're running the plastic weapon, it's going to be a little bit too much for Starchild to recover from. How long are we in here? God, it's 12 minutes already? I feel like I'm going fast through this. Alright, episode 9. Mad Catter, they are going to beat Big Dill on damage and aggression. It's going to be a real beat down there. Mad Catter, I can see 3 minutes non-stop ponage. Endgame is going to beat Hypershock because they are Endgame. Glitch beats Lockjaw because that's kind of just the improbable thing Glitch would do, and it makes for good reality TV, so I'm calling that one. Witch Doctor beats Gruff. The Magnum Dong armor is good, but this fight's going to be 3 minutes of non-stop Witch Doctoring. Ripperoni is going to beat Hijinks, probably in the same way that Uppercut did. Ribbot is going to beat Jackpot, and I honestly think they're going to run the horizontal for this fight, try to trick Jackpot into running not the heavy wedge, and sort of take advantage of that, especially being more stable due to being a horizontal. Sawblaze is going to beat Scorpios. They're just a little bit faster and a little bit stronger, and honestly, Scorpios' better defense won't come into play much here, especially because of all of those overhead attacks. Alright, now on to episode 10. Banshee, I think, is actually going to beat Emulsifier. I think they can do it. Flippers have done crazier things in the past, and I don't believe Emulsifier has a self-rider. So it's going to be a real test for them. If they can win this fight, I think they can go far in the tournament. Death Roll, I think, is going to beat Mammoth. Its weapon is just the perfect height and size for completely chopping up Mammoth. It doesn't mind being bounced around, and it'll keep coming back for more and more until either Mammoth finally dies or 3 minutes and it's all chopped up. I think Huge is going to beat Fusion. I really can't see this fight ending any other way. I think Fusion's just going to combust halfway through. I don't think it can do much to Huge's wheels, and it definitely can't reach the main pods. Shatter is going to beat Horizon. It's probably going to be on defense. I don't see Horizon's weapons doing all that much to Shatter's armor, and that's really going to work in favor of Shatter, because even though it might not be a perfect knockout, it's definitely going to show why the plastic armor works. I believe Whiplash will beat Monsoon. They might not even run the spinner for this one. They'll probably just run the heavy wedge. There's a lot of bits to grab onto with Monsoon, so they don't necessarily need the perfect wedgelets. So that's where I think they're going to win it on control. Again, only 6 fights here. I guess they need a little bit of filler since they don't have exactly 105 fights among the 50 bots. But otherwise, here we go. Episode 11. I really hope we see Rusty at some point during the season, as well as other bots like Terratops. Who else was in there? The Dragon, something Dragon. It was Red Devil, and then it became this Dragon thing that the Scorpios team took over. Alright, Episode 11. Black Dragon, I think it's going to be Beta. I don't think that Beta is going to be able to get much momentum at all in this fight. Black Dragon's aggressive, and they have the wedgelets that they need, whereas Beta, with its slightly more reserved fighting style, won't be able to get the damage it needs to win this fight, especially because Black Dragon is capable of taking that damage being so compact. Rotator, I think, beats Bloodsport. You know, it may be a horizontal, but at its core, Rotator is one of the most defensively sound bots in the field. It just has so few weak points that even if the fight goes all 3 minutes, Bloodsport's going to be in worse shape at the end. Jackpot's going to beat Shredderator. I think that they'll just be able to outpace Captain Shredderator in this fight, even though I think it'll be pretty darn close. You gotta give Team Logicom some credit here. Cobalt is going to beat Overhaul, and personally, I think that this is one fight that's going to be either an underrated gem or a complete snooze fest. Who knows? Overhaul's always unpredictable when it gets in the ring. Gigabyte is going to beat Starchild. At this point, the drivers are probably going to be used to controlling a heavyweight, and I don't think that Starchild packs enough punch to pierce the shell. Glitch is going to beat Triton. I think this fight's going to be awesome. Glitch definitely has the heavy wedge they need, but, you know, something might get bent up. They got high-centered on their own wheels, and that's Triton's really their only win condition. Otherwise, they have to hope that Glitch loses traction or something again. All right, Switchback versus Ominous. I think Switchback wins this one. It's going to be a control fight and a push fight, which I think Switchback is just ever so slightly better equipped for, especially because it can rev up its weapon independent of pushing. All right, episode 12. Free shipping beats Big Dill, and man, I just miss lifters. Free shipping is no longer original sin. It's a vert now. Rest in peace. Hypershock versus Claw Viper. Claw Viper is fast, right? But Hypershock is faster, meaning that Claw Viper loses its only real advantage. I can't see it winning against Hypershock. Malice, I think, is going to beat Gruff. The lifter is going to get all twisted up very early in the fight, and if Malice's drive keeps working, they might win a judge's decision if its spinner lasts the whole time. Gruff's drive is probably going to get damaged maybe a minute into the fight, and that's Malice's real win condition, just to keep going. Sawblaze beats Hydra, but honestly, I can see this one going either way. It's going to be a really close, really exciting match. Mad Catter is going to beat Lockjaw. I think this one is going to come down to Mad Catter being able to take a hit and keep on going while Lockjaw won't. Either the batteries are going to fail, or it's just going to be ever so slightly off that it doesn't function at 100%, and Mad Catter can take advantage of that, whereas Mad Catter itself can definitely take a hit. And Lucky is going to be Shred It Bro. Again, Pain Train just wasn't very fast or maneuverable, and that's a real liability against a flipper like Lucky. Again, only 6 fights. I hope to see some Rumbles again. Those were a lot of fun. Maybe not the whole 10-bot Rumble, maybe 4. 4-bot Rumble would be fun. Alright, now on to episode 13. Ripperoni is going to be Copperhead. By this point, Ripperoni is going to be blazing hot, and man, I really voted against Copperhead in a lot of their fights, but I just don't think that they can do it this year. Maybe that's my hot take of the year. I think Copperhead's going to fall off. You can hold me to that. When I'm wrong, be sure to leave a comment, because that's an interaction. Something algorithm. Death Roll, I think they're going to beat Monsoon. They're both definitely going to get some hits in, but Monsoon is probably going to fail first. Valkyrie beats Glitch. Lucy Dew hopefully has her driving together at this point in the year, and they're well aware of what Glitch can do to an undercutter, so their driving is going to be a little bit more conservative, I bet. Shatter is going to beat Ominous. They can definitely do some damage, and the overhead strikes are just going to be a little too much for the rookie. Overhaul is going to beat Shred It Bro. The weapon spins up too slow, and I think Overhaul really has the ability to grab and control the much smaller and slower bot. Scorpios is going to beat Ribot, but there's a real chance for an upset here, giving the rock, paper, scissors of weapon choices versus wedge choice with Ribot versus Scorpios. That's going to be a really volatile, unpredictable fight right up until the buzzer. Bloodsport is going to beat Beta. Wow, that's a bold prediction. Again, because of Justin Marple's quick driving and hit and run tactics, Beta just won't have the chance to get any sort of momentum. Black Dragon is going to beat Riptide. They're stable enough to take a hit and fire on back, whereas Riptide often takes much longer to reset. Even though in the end they're both egg beater verts with that self-right using their own weapon, I think Black Dragon is more stable at the end of the day. Emulsifier is going to beat Quantum. I think even with Quantum's quickness, a couple good hits from the vert are going to render it pretty much dead. Endgame is going to beat Gigabyte because they are Endgame. Fusion, I think, is going to win over Rotator. The double weapon with Fusion is just going to be too much for even Rotator's defense to handle. And then Triton is going to beat Horizon. If Triton really is as powerful as Deep Six, something is going to break, right? Alright, final episode, episode 15. Blip is going to beat Banshee. It's just a more well-established flipper in the field, and that's going to definitely be the tipping point for this match. Blip's got a lot of control, they've got a lot of power, and they've definitely got the elite driving. Cobalt is going to beat Lucky. It's tough, but Lucky's probably just going to get shredded halfway through the fight. Sucks, right? Hijinks is going to beat Switchback. I think Switchback's just a little too slow and unstable to take more than a few Hijinks hits. Huge is going to beat Starchild. In theory, Starchild might have the edge, but Huge is, like I said before, a very established bot that's had years of refinement into the heavyweight version. Mammoth is going to beat Kraken. Ricky Williams is just too good of a driver to let Kraken grab on and take over more than half of the fight. It's going to be a real standout year for Mammoth, I think. They're going to definitely have some... They definitely won't win, and they probably won't even get to the quarterfinals. But Mammoth is going to always be a bot to watch out for. There's no way you can prepare for it, and it's going to ruin someone's year. I guarantee it. They're like the Detroit Lions. Witch Doctor is going to beat Minotaur, even though they're technically 1-1 versus each other. That match last year really was a little bit of a bitter end for the Brazilian team. Minotaur can recover easily, like from a hit, like they showed in their fight versus Tantrum, but Witch Doctor always gets the follow-up, which is a lot harder to plan for. I think they've got the defense they need. Witch Doctor, it's tough, and I believe that this is going to be the last main event of the entire season, which, yeah, it's a little predictable, but it's definitely a good choice. And then the last fight I have here, Tantrum is going to beat Whiplash. Okay, hear me out. With a nimble self-rider and tons of armor, Whiplash just isn't going to have much to do on either the control or damage end of the fight. I'm not predicting specific outcomes for most of these fights, but I think this is going to be the judge's decision that's going to get Twitter upset. And yeah, that's every single fight in Battlebots Season 7, at least the fight nights. We'll get to the tournament when we get there. How long is this video? Gosh, it's 24 minutes long. Alright. And you know what? In the future, if you're watching this from the future, definitely let me know when I got things wrong, because I guarantee I got so many of these wrong. This is just some weirdo on the internet having an opinion. I know, absurd, right? And yeah, see you all next time.